said, I want to make history. And that's what this is.
Hey, this is part 2 of a personal attack on Bo-Katan. If you'd like to start from the beginning and then come back to this later, you can click this equally outrageous thumbnail and then join us here when you're done. We'll be getting into part 2 in a second, but first I'd like to address some of the more popular comments that I got on the first part of this series. A few people pointed out that it wasn't actually Disney that made all those massive changes to The Mandalorians. That happened because George Lucas wanted that to happen. And yeah, I was aware of this, but I should be more specific when I'm attacking the changes to the Mandalorian culture. I should also make it known that while I love George Lucas and I wish that he still had the rights to Star Wars, I also really disagree with his choices when it came to the Mandalorians in the Clone Wars. I like the Mandalorian culture that was shown in the Republic Commando novels a lot more than I like the Mandos in the Clone Wars series. I know that's not going to be the case for everyone, but that's just how I feel. And as for the other comment that I was getting pretty frequently, how can Bo be bad if Anakin be good? Now, I understand the desire to make this connection. They do have a lot of similarities, but I don't think it's a productive argument to make. And it's also weird because I never mentioned Anakin in the last video. I don't think I mentioned him once, but even if I did, his mere existence doesn't change the fact that Bo is a character composed of hot garbage. The big difference between them is that one of them is Space Jesus, and the other is arguably just a mouthpiece for Disney executives. One died for the galaxy's sins after admitting he was wrong, while the other is still alive and refuses to this fucking day to take accountability. She will not own up to her bullshit, and it's too late. There is no course correcting for Bo at this point. They blundered it up again. Oh, and one more tangent before we start. I think that Anakin killing children is terrible, and I've always disliked it. I was actually really hoping that after Disney bought Star Wars, they would retcon that out. Maybe, have a comic showing Anakin spare the kids that he was shown about to kill in Episode 3. Like when they cut away in the movie, maybe the comic continues it, and it's like, oh no, he actually turned his lightsaber off, and he let them all run away, but, oh, a bunch of clones, they shot the kiddies before they could get away. I feel like they really fucked it up by showing Vader stab a child in the belly, but that's a different disappointing character arc that I'm not gonna get into right now. Okay, let's talk about Bo-Katan. So fast forwarding a couple seasons, Bo-Katan's first appearance in Season 7 has her standing atop of a building, watching Ahsoka participate in the worst Clone Wars arc that has ever come to be. They're wearing cloaks to disguise themselves, but they still wear the big-ass Mandalorian helmets they have.
Let's keep track of her. She could be of use to us.
You guys didn't really leave on the best of terms, and yet Bo-Katan is just convinced that Ahsoka will come with her and help, because devil-looking guy's in charge, we can't have that now. God forbid he get to be happy for once. Her and her gang of maybe Mandalorians keep an eye on Ahsoka during this abysmal attempt at an arc. I'm going a little off topic again with this one, but I just want to remind everybody that instead of getting Maul's arc after Palpatine took him into custody, and seeing the death of Mother Talzin and a big fight between every major Star Wars villain during this period, all in one place at one time, we got the Martez sisters! Oh, the lovable Martez sisters. Look at them go. Ain't they great? Look at this backdoor pilot that we just shoved into this iconic series. Why did we put it here? Well, because we want money, of course. Anyways, lackluster story is done. Bo-Katan and her deadly ladies approach Ahsoka, and they tell her that Death Watch is over, so it's fine. Everything's good.
Don't worry. Death Watch is gone.
And they have a common enemy. And then, even though they obviously need her help, Bo tries to give her a 5-minute time limit to decide on whether or not she's gonna come.
You have 5 minutes to decide.
What are you rushing off to do? What appointment do you have to keep, Bo? The dentist can wait if you're trying to protect the future of your people. Well, without Ahsoka, Bo has no in with the Jedi Council, which he absolutely needs to have, since the Senate doesn't want to help a neutral planet like Mandalore. I'm really surprised that Ahsoka goes with her at all, considering she saw Death Watch's cruelty firsthand.
What is it, Ahsoka?
Lady Bo-Katan and I have located the renegade Sith Lord Maul.
Lady Bo-Katan? When did we start adding lady? When did she get an honorific? The title makes sense, but why is it only now that we're using it? Is it because up until moments before Obi-Wan left Mandalore, Bo was revealed to be a lady? It's weird that only now are we using it. Like, did no one know that she was Satine's sister? Because I feel like that would be a pretty hard thing to hide. And why is it that during the Siege of Mandalore here, Maul also refers to Ahsoka as Lady Tano?
Where's your army, Lady Tano? Maul, what game are you playing?
The end game, Lady Tano.
She's not Satine's relative. She's not the daughter of someone that owns a bunch of land. I don't know, maybe Bo-Katan adopted her or something. They might as well have. They seem to have become very close off camera. They even dress the same at this point, with the same glowy headband. When Ahsoka meets up with her old masters, she's already charmed by Bo-Katan. And then by the time the siege of Mandalore is over, they're suddenly best friends with a familial bond almost. It's weird, it's rushed, and all the moments of them getting closer seem to be happening off screen.
So why not take him yourself?
I don't have the numbers needed for a siege.
Oh! Sorry, what was that? Let's hear that one more time.
I don't have the numbers needed for a siege.
Oh, that's what I thought you said, you dumb idiot. Obi-Wan brings up a very good point, which is that the Republic is already fighting in one war. And so to do what Bo is asking could incite civil war within the Republic. What's Bo's wise rebuttal to this?
What's one more?
In regards to fucking war, I think it's fair to say one more is a lot.
Maul's influence on Mandalore is destroying my people.
How? We have been shown absolutely zero proof of this. None. All that you ever wanted, Bo, was everybody in armor. And guess what? Everybody's in armor, even all mechs in armor now. So what fucking more do you want? You're just pissed because Maul killed your sister, Bo. But guess what? She wouldn't be dead if you hadn't thrown her in prison in the first place. With or without Maul, Satine wasn't gonna survive Death Watch's revolution.
He murdered their ruler. My sister. I thought she meant something to you.
How dare you? This man owes you absolutely nothing, and he loved your sister very much. He has gone above and beyond for Mandalore again and again, and Bo seriously has the stones to try and guilt him into giving her the planet? You piggy pig pig pig. And by the way, Obi-Wan didn't actually say no, and yet Bo barks at Ahsoka before leaving to have herself her little toddler meltdown, before Obi-Wan's even given her an answer. Also, one of the Mandos she has brought to this very important meeting looks like one of the Mandos that was also burning that village down. Eventually, Bo gets what she wants when a whole bunch of Republic troops, along with Ahsoka herself, help Bo to retake Mandalore for Death Watch. I mean Bo-Katan. Shit. I mean, the Mandalorian people, of course.
And we are coming for him.
Aha! Mistress Bo-Katan, the traitor.
Now we got Mistress too. Alrighty then, if you want all the titles you want, sure. She may not be a great person, but she definitely is a great warrior. All this action shit looks rad. She goes Rambo on everybody's asses. She's good at what she does, and what she does is not very nice. Bo, Ahsoka, and the 501st managed to retake the planet. The Mandalorian people are finally free, no longer living under Maul's rule. The best part is, they all sound incredibly unhappy. Like, congrats, Bo, you've freed your people. They all seem to really appreciate it. It's almost like everything was fine. I didn't see any of those guys look too hungry. Their haircuts and makeup seemed pretty on point, though. I don't think society was breaking down.
This occupation cannot last much longer. The people will not stand for it. I will not stand for it.
What do you mean you won't stand for it, Bo? You invited them here. Like, what really gets... Oh, hold on, Maul's back.
My lady, is that any way to treat your rightful ruler?
I really love Maul. He's so cool. Except for the time when he killed those kids. That wasn't very cool.
You succeeded where many have failed.
I've learned from the best, including you.
When did she teach you? What did she teach you? Why did she teach you?
I wish I was good at something other than war.
Okay, so that's a lie. To be good at war is to be a good Mandalorian. Every single piece of Star Wars media with you in it, Bo, shows you fighting for your people to return to their warrior, war-having ways. So why would you even say that? Maul sort of abandons his boys when it becomes apparent that he's not gonna win this fight, and I have to imagine that this really traumatizes the Mandalorians. I can't say for certain how all of them progressed going forward if they all needed therapy, but I can tell you one thing, one guy named Gar Saxon was really fucked up by his leaving. Okay, so to get you caught up with what happens in between the end of Clone Wars and the beginning of Rebels, I'm gonna give you the broad strokes here. Order 66 happens, and nearly all the Jedi get wiped out overnight. Not all of them, but most. This ushers in the change from a galactic republic to a galactic empire, meaning that Bo now has Imperial troops on her planet instead of Republic soldiers. This is a big deal, because whereas the clones would have left Mandalore to return to its neutral ways, this new government is gonna hunker down and take over. Mandalore is an Imperial planet now, whether they like it or not. And with the Jedi gone, Bo doesn't have anybody she can turn to get her out of this mess. Of course, we can't forget it was Bo that fought so hard for the neutrality of the planet, right? I'm pretty sure she's the one that made this takeover so easy in the first place, but sure. We're going to be talking about some different people here from Bo-Katan, because it's very important to discuss what's been going on since Bo-Katan's last appearance in Star Wars Clone Wars. You can skip to this part here if you're only looking for Bo content, but I feel like you're going to lack some understanding of her relevance in the grander story of Star Wars if you do so. So if you want to stick around to hear about these two characters in particular and how they just destroyed Mandalore, then stay tuned. Okay, so, elephant in the room, Star Wars Rebels is not a great show. Parts of it are really cool. Characters in it can be pretty cool. Sabine Wren is not cool in the slightest. The daughter of one of the ladies in Death Watch, so a terrorist, that was helping Bo-Katan try and retake Mandalore. This little lady is one of the main characters of the series. She's a badass. She spray paints things. Her armor is pink. She wears gloves that has graffiti. Ooh, she's cool. During a meeting, Sabine suggests the planet Concord Dawn is an alternative travel route for the rebels. They need to evade the Empire when moving weapons and supplies to this planet called Lothal, and their current route isn't gonna work anymore. Concord Dawn, you may remember, is real close to Mandalore. Mandalore being the planet that the Empire, spoilers, nuke. Later on, the soon-to-be-dead admiral or captain or whatever is worried about who Concord Dawn is loyal to. This is an incredibly dumb question, considering these never-before-mentioned bandos have a history of fighting with the Republic, retconned in during the Clone Wars. So if they worked with the Republic, and the main planet of Mandalore is under Imperial rule, it's pretty easy to see why I think this plan is dumb, right? With all the heat that's on this system, I have no idea why Sabine would suggest it, other than she's Mandalorian and she has to reference that she's Mandalorian, otherwise, how are we supposed to know that this cool badass character is Mandalorian? So, great job, Sabine. God knows why, but the rebellion decides to go forward with this edgy scene girl's plan. So a squad of rebel fighters fly into enemy territory openly. They admit who they are to the local militia, who, remember, aren't aligned with them. And then, surprise, surprise, the Mandos fire on the rebellion. They ask for a favor they didn't earn, and then they get attacked. Wow, brilliance. Sabine, the petulant child, insists that the rebels attack these Mandos and get them back for what they did to Hera and the other nameless pilots. The Mandalorian protectors, or more specifically, their leader, Fenn Rau, really hand the rebels their asses here. But remember, the protectors only attacked because this foreign militia just entered their territory randomly. No, they didn't call ahead, they just fucking showed up. No one agrees with Sabine that they should just go get random revenge, so she tries to take matters into her own hands, stowing aboard Kanan the Jedi's ship. He's just going there for diplomatic purposes to do what they definitely should have done in the first place. But Sabine, once again, is disobeying orders because she's a rebel. She's like cool Barbie. She's like Bratz. So fucking Sabine stows away after being ordered to stay behind, and she will not stop talking about getting revenge. Flash forward onto Concord Dawn, and Fenn Rau is eating miso soup in a tent. Kanan sneaks in, and both characters have a well-written conversation, while Sabine just absolutely undercuts any diplomatic meeting that is happening here by sticking bombs on everybody's shit. Like, I want to give her props for being so stealthy, none of the other Mandalorians hear her, until she, like an idiot, bumps her head on the back of one of the ships. It's like a fucking cartoon frying pan noise. Such a dumb move.
What's your house?
I'm Clan Wren, House Vizsla.
House Vizsla? She's Death Watch. Traitor!
My mother was, but I'm not. I came here to settle a score.
This exchange implies that people are aware of Death Watch's underhanded shenanigans, which is fucked up considering how the story develops moving forward. Sabine invokes the ancient Game of Thrones tradition, trial by combat bullshit, against Fenn Rau.
There are alternatives to killing.
So I know that everything at the end of this episode, it goes well. For the rebels anyway, they take Fenn Rau captive. The only reason they're allowed to use this new space route to avoid the Empire is because they've taken a hostage. Pretty fucked up, really close to terrorism here, more than I think we're doing Freedom Fighter, but okay. And another thing that's important to note here is that Sabine is responsible for crippling a sizable amount of the Protector's starships, and has now kidnapped their leader. That may not seem like a big deal, like, oh, whoop-de-fucking-do, you see how big a Star Destroyer is? Whatever, they'll remake that in like a week. But I swear, this skirmish makes all the difference, just you wait. Fast forward to later on, just to catch up with Sabine. I'm not going to go through every single appearance she has in Rebels, just a few key moments that will help shape the rest of the galaxy. It's shown that Sabine actually visits Rau and they talk from time to time. He really does not like her still. I understand why, he's a prisoner. But anyway, in this episode, Rau returns home with Ezra and Sabine, only to find that all of his men have been murdered because he's sided with the rebellion. Even though he didn't side with the rebellion took him fucking prisoner. Great job, Sabine. That was a super idea you had going to Concord Dawn. While looking over what little remains of his home, Imperial allied Mandos arrive to search the area. I don't think I watched all of the Sabine episodes over that trip like I thought I did. I feel like I'm missing parts here. I'm gonna have to fucking watch more Sabine. Damn it. This is fucking infuriating. I hate her. You know what? I'm gonna put this in the video. Sabine has to be talked into retreating after Ezra intentionally gives her and Fenn Rau the perfect chance to escape. She's so smart, you guys, but she's honor-bound not to run away. It turns out Gar Saxon, #1 Mandalorian, is actually now Viceroy of Mandalore, which is well-deserved. He's the best. I loved his horny helmet. Once Sabine and Rau find somewhere safe, Rau reveals he doesn't care about Ezra or the rebellion, which Sabine is surprised by and takes offense to, even though it is shown earlier in the episode that for all the weeks that she's been visiting him, he has never once told her he likes the rebellion or shown any break in that decision. He's a smart guy, and up until he shows up and sees that every single one of his people has been killed, he doesn't flinch on hating the rebellion and siding with the Empire. Which again, makes sense. Look what happens if you let the rebels do something. The Empire's gonna come in and murder everybody, and the rebellion doesn't care. They just need their shit to be done. They're fucking selfish. If the rebellion hadn't shown up there, the Protectors would still be alive. That's the takeaway that Fenn Rau has. With their deaths, Fenn Rau may be the only one left, and Sabine is specifically responsible for destroying most of the Protectors' munitions, as you might remember. She really fucked them over just before the Empire invaded, just so Sabine could show off her girl power. Don't you hurt one of my people, or I'll eradicate yours. Saxon says he was planning to wipe out the Protectors anyway, which is supposed to make Fenn Rau go oh, I guess they were gonna kill us anyway. It's in no way related to you guys at all. Even though he says that this gave him the excuse he needed.
You know, I planned to strike this base and destroy these defiant Protectors for some time. Missing Fenn Rau was disappointing.
But his absence did make the destruction of his men easier.
I have been waiting for Rau to return. I only allowed rebel ships to move through Concord Dawn to lure him back, but now I have you. And I think you know exactly where Rau is.
They were planning on doing it, sure, but that doesn't mean that it had been done yet. If the rebellion hadn't have shown up, he wouldn't have taken that fucking chance. And yet, because the narrative needs him to, Fenn Rau realizes that no, it's not Sabine or the rebellion's fault. You know, I think you guys are pretty cool, and it's definitely not that I am massively traumatized from losing all my people and don't know what I'm talking about. I definitely just want to become part of the rebellion now that I am a fugitive on the run. I doubt that the dogmatic Imperial Viceroy would be so quick to slay those employed by the government that gave him his armor. Especially not after Maul abandoned him. He really needs something to believe in. So of course he wants to be loyal to the Empire. And from what we saw, The Protectors were being pretty loyal to the Empire, so I don't think that it would have gone over well if he just suddenly killed them. I mean, his position is probably super tenuous too, and yet Rau is just blown away by his hatred, I guess? How could Saxon be so evil as to destroy people aiding the enemy? All lives matter. No, that's probably not good to keep in. Fast forward way later on into the episode. It looks like Rau has stolen the ship that he and the other two arrived on. Sabine gets to have a talk with Saxon. Honestly, Saxon also sounds like a relatively chill guy. He exposes the truth, informing the audience of Sabine's history with the Empire. Turns out she abandoned Imperial Academy and ran off to join the rebellion. Well, how very Bo-Katan of you, Sabine. Abandoning the Empire brought great dishonor to the rest of her clan and family. Even with their standing significantly lower than before, Saxon speaks of her family with respect and offers her an ultimatum.
Sabine Wren.
I don't know you.
Well, I know you, and all about how you've joined the Phoenix Squadron. I also know that your mother is looking for you.
Don't believe him.
Sabine never told you about her family? Well, she lies as well as you, boy. Her own mother stands with me and the Empire now.
I doubt you gave her much choice, traitor.
She came round herself after you abandoned the Imperial Academy. Your cowardice shamed your family's name and standing. Had you honored your commitment, you could be wearing this armor now.
Sorry, Saxon. I like a little more color.
You think yourself a loyalist? The Empire will make Mandalore stronger than ever before.
The only one who's gotten stronger under the Empire is you.
Out of respect for your family, I'll give you a choice. Give me Fenn Rau and swear allegiance. Or you and your friend die.
He hands out an olive branch, and she agrees to their terms, and just like earlier in the episode when the Mandos somehow didn't see Ezra and Sabine right out in the open, they even had a fucking aerial view. I know it's just an animation thing, but for fuck's sakes, how could they not see them? The Imperial Super Commandos somehow don't hear Sabine mumbling to the droid right behind her. Like, no one sees her going like, "Sure, I'll do what you want me to do. Hey, Chopper, stab the baby." Like, does Filoni not block out these scripts? I feel like he can't. There's no way that he's storyboarding them himself anymore. Once again, Filoni has resorted to his favorite and most scummy of tricks. Having the main character feign surrender, only to go, psych!
Oh, Jesus Christ! Excuse me?
Fenn Rau has a change of heart and actually comes back to pick up Ezra and Sabine. Looks like he's joining the rebellion. Are the writers not competent enough to write her jetpack into the story? Is it too powerful for her? That's the level of writing we're working with here, people, so don't get your hopes up going forward. So after they all get out of this mess and get back to Rebel territory, Sabine has somehow managed to gain Rau's respect. By faking surrender, she showed him that she is using strategy.
What took you so long?
I was using strategy. It takes longer.
Okay, jumping into another episode, Sabine is getting called out by Chopper.
Oh, I'm the one who needs an attitude adjustment?
Ezra travels with Darth Maul, don't ask why, to Dathomir for reasons, again, you shouldn't ask about. So then Sabine and Ezra's mentor, the Jedi from the other story with Fenn Rau, head together to the planet of witches alone to go get him from a Sith Lord. Guys, like, just make better choices. Maul takes Ezra to his home and is very gracious. He's a nice boy, but he wants to show Ezra his stuff. Like any true nerd, he's very excited to show off his toys.
I have gathered many things, secrets to help us restore our memories.
Look at all this junk.
This kid's almost worse than Sabine. I'm so glad Disney decided to expand these idiot stories in that new show. It's not like there are any other interesting characters they could be expanding upon instead. There's definitely the need for nostalgia now more than ever. I love it. The High Republic's doing well, and I love it. As it turns out, some of that junk, as Ezra so colorfully put it, is actually incredibly important to Mandalorian culture. The Darksaber's in all that mess, and it's about to become very important to the story at large. When Sabine and Kanan finally catch up with Maul and Ezra, Sabine, like the dumbass she is, attempts to shoot the ghosts. The ghost cop a feel for glowing inside of Sabine's alt-scene girl body, and possesses her right before possessing Kanan. So now with Sabine and a Jedi that's definitely not General Ramkota running around as ghosts, Maul and Ezra try to run away before Ezra comes back to finish business. But not before a heartbreaking scene with Maul. I know that we're not talking about Bo-Katan right now. I promise that we are going to talk about Bo-Katan, and I'm sorry. Maul, being the smartest one there by a long shot, cuts his losses and runs, while Ezra stays behind, refusing to abandon knockoff Coda and the Bratz doll in Mando armor. Ezra risks his life trying to free them. Sabine gets a hold of the Darksaber and starts duking it out. Ezra says what most sane members of the audience are thinking, seeing Sabine with the Darksaber in hand.
That doesn't belong to you.
But anyway, Ezra frees his master, and they all escape. And unfortunately, on the way out of there, Sabine nabs the Darksaber.
No! God, please, no! No!
She obtains the Darksaber. Rau wants Sabine to use the Darksaber as a tool to reunite their people. Apparently, since the Republic turned into the Empire and took over Mandalore, they haven't been very unified. The Darksaber, in case you were wondering, is apparently an ancient relic created by the first Mandalorian Jedi. It holds huge cultural significance to the Mandalorians, and basically fills the same role as the Mask of Mandalore in Legends continuity. While reluctant at first, Sabine agrees to be trained on how to use the Darksaber, and after she gets some lessons from Kanan, along with Rau throwing her some quick tips, Sabine reunites with her family. Just not before we get this gem of a line.
History lesson. The Jedi won the war with Mandalore. These tricks will amount to something.
Fenn Rau looks like an incredibly offended high school girl right here. Yeah, you're right, it will amount to something. So some family drama goes down, then there's a quick duel with Gar Saxon that ends with his death. Gone far too soon in my opinion. Sabine doesn't kill him though. It's her mom, the bad bitch Ursa, that actually does the dirty work. Love that gal. So Clan Wren decides it's time to try to take back Mandalore, starting with freeing Sabine's father. Turns out Ursa's baby daddy has been taken prisoner in all but name, and Clan Wren wants him back. Ursa needs her bottom bitch. The rebels are aiding Clan Wren in their efforts to force the Empire off of Mandalore. Now you'd think they were doing this because they are largely responsible for the death of the Mandalorian protectors, and feel the need to pay this man back in some way. But no, they're helping because the Mandalorians did the rebellion a solid when they were losing to a blue guy. After their initial attempt fails, we meet back up with a very familiar face.
All I do is gaslight, girl boss, gatekeep. All you do is co-star, TikTok, Twitter hate. I don't practice safe sex, I don't need to masturbate. He never give me head, so I Uber ate. All I do is gaslight, girl boss, gatekeep.
And so what does Sabine do upon realizing who Bo is? Try to give her the Darksaber, of course. It's really weird because when Bo-Katan shows up, Sabine doesn't recognize her. And I want to remind you, once again, I know we just talked about it, her mother helped Bo-Katan retake the planet. I would assume that meant they were family friends. And the way that people talk about Bo-Katan, everybody knows who she is. Like, does Sabine just not know anything about her own people? Apparently, everyone now sees Bo-Katan as the rightful ruler, because that's who was in charge at the time when everything fell apart. You know, when Bo helped Death Watch liberate her people. How the fuck is she supposed to be next in line to rule Mandalore? Mandalore is not a monarchy, not in Legends or in canon, so why is her being the sister of the Duchess, not the Queen, the Duchess, mean that she's next in line to take over? I thought only the strong shall rule. Or is she not following that anymore because she's mad about her boyfriend dying? Initially, Bo does the right thing when Sabine offers her the Darksaber, turning down the offer.
Your commitment to Mandalore's freedom is legendary, my lady. This belongs to you.
I had my chance to rule, and I failed. I am not my sister.
I am not the leader you seek.
Yeah, there you go, you hack fraud. That's right, walk away. After a series of blunders, Clan Wren, now joined by Clan Kryze and the rebels, free Sabine's father. Their reunion is cut short, however, when the Empire debuts a brand new weapon. This new super weapon of the Empire's almost kills Sabine's family, and actually does succeed in killing a lot of Clan Wren's members. Ursa survives, though, because Ursa is the best. Now you're probably wondering, what does this new super weapon do? The Empire has ships called Star Destroyers. They can destroy a planet from space. So this new super weapon, this has to be crazy, right? What does it do? Well, as it turns out, not that much. Apparently, it's like Sidious's lightning, but it specifically is attracted to Beskar, meaning that when they turn it on, all the stormtroopers are safe because they're wearing cheap plastic armor, but all the Mandalorians are fried from the inside out. I don't know why you wouldn't just invest in more grenades, but okay. The worst part of all of this is that poor Fenn Rau just got a really cool new suit of armor. I'm assuming, and I don't know if this is canon or not, but he doesn't get it until right after all of his men are killed, right? My headcanon is that he took a bunch of those guys' helmets that were left over and melted them down into this armor to honor their memory. Kind of like he's carrying them wherever he goes. That's what I like to think. Regardless, whether he just bought this off Amazon or he melted down his men's armor and made it himself, doesn't really matter. What matters is that he really needs this win right now after all the shit he's been going through. But he's in more danger than ever because he's wearing more Beskar than anyone else there. He cannot catch a break. Anyways, while Fenn Rau is the most affected by it, everyone's scared. Which is weird, because you'd think they could just not wear the armor for a little while, and then boom, that super weapon is completely ineffective. How many times in Rebels now have they just worn Stormtrooper armor for the sake of a callback to A New Hope? They've done it so often, why can't the Mandalorians do it? Like, I understand that Beskar armor is a huge part of a Mandalorian's cultural identity, but is it really a big ask just to not wear it for like a couple days while we destroy the super weapon that specifically targets that armor?
Okay, so this weapon only targets Mandalorian armor, right? So why not make your armor out of something different?
Ezra, the armor I wear is 500 years old. I reforged it to my liking, but the battles, the history, the blood, all lives within it. And the same goes for every Mandalorian.
This armor is part of our identity. It makes us Mandalorians who we are.
They're warriors underneath all that metal, right? The armor shouldn't be the only thing that makes them great. But if that's the case, and the only thing that makes a Mandalorian cool is the fact that they wear impenetrable armor, then they kinda suck, don't they? The clones that Bo loves to mock later on, despite how they quote-unquote saved her planet, seem to be far more capable. And that's not just me trying to shit on Mandalorians, the show seems to be pushing this narrative as well.
A Mandalorian without armor is no more than a common soldier. Fear will compel them to join the Empire.
Now I bet you're wondering, where exactly did this new super weapon come from? It was designed by none other than Sabine Wren herself.
This is my work. I created the weapon that did this, and because of me, the Empire is going to turn my world into a graveyard.
You told us you destroyed it.
I did. The Empire must have rebuilt it.
Bo-Katan freaks out, but then, as soon as her men start making a fuss, she calms them right down because she supports her friend's daughter. Why? Well, not just because she's her friend's daughter, but because Sabine is the only one who knows how the weapon can be used properly to its fullest extent. And who can destroy it, I guess, which doesn't make sense because I feel like you could just bomb it no matter what, but fine, why not, sure. Clan Wren and Kryze invade the Imperial Star Destroyer of Gar Saxon's brother. As luck would have it, Lars Laxon ends up having both Sabine and Bo at his mercy, and rather than killing them, bringing a quick end to this rebellion, Lars prioritizes impressing his new blueberry boss. Saxon's brother demands that Sabine reprogram the Beskar lightning magnet machine, to which she agrees. She requests no tools of any kind, and insists that the weapon is at peak performance after a total of 13 button pushes, 4 of which aren't even buttons on the machine. So, Sar Smaxon then turns the machine on without testing it first, proving exactly why I refuse to learn his name. His weapon turned against him, everything looks like it's going good for the heroes. Oh, but oh no! Bo-Katan thinks that this is wrong. Sabine and her then have this incredibly acted conversation.
Sabine, stop!
Mandalore must be free!
At what cost?
To beat the Empire, this is the only way!
It's not our way. It's their way. You came here to make things right. Will the future of Mandalore be one of honor or cowardice? Hope or fear?
Hope or fear? Says the woman famous for her terrorist past. She tells Sabine that it's her choice to make whether she destroys the weapon or not, as if whatever she chooses would even really matter. Sabine destroys the weapon with the darksaber. Bo returns home to find a surprise "you're in charge now" party. Classic.
You have the wisdom of a ruler. There's no one I trust to wield the darksaber more than you, and I am not alone.
Clan Rook is with you.
Clan Elder is with you.
Clan Kreese is with you.
The Protectors are with you.
Let's just take a minute here to talk about why this is bullshit. Rook and Eldar are completely new clans that don't matter whatsoever. You could have had Skarada, Shiza, Ordo, Hoken, Kar, Chopa, Notimio, or whatever the fuck his last name was. Anything. Disney loves to make unnecessary references in their movies and their comics, and yet here is where you show restraint. Great, amazing. So with them out of the way, Kreese and the Protectors shouldn't have a vote either, because Bo-Katan is from Clan Kreese, she's already in charge of them, and the Protectors are all gone except for one of them. And from what we heard before they all died, they didn't support Deathwatch or Bo-Katan or Clan Vizsla, who, by the way, are also there. Why are they there? Why are they allowed to be there still? At this point, they've rebranded, which, I mean, great, but still, like, maybe just start a new clan. I don't know how you come back from this. The only vote that should really count is Clan Wren. And unfortunately, best girl Ursa makes a mistake here and supports her daughter's awful decision to put her friend in power.
I accept this sword for my sister. For my clan. And for all of Mandalore.